First week of November is now in the books, so let's take a look at the OHL Power Rankings. There's quite a bit of movement at both the top and the bottom of the Power Rankings, so let's get right into it. The first mover, the Niagara Ice Dogs, they fell 4 positions to number 20. The Ice Dogs, they had a very tough week. They went 0-2. They played on the road against the Sudbury Wolves and then came home to face the North Bay Battalion team that was desperate to get in the win column. So tough situation there for Niagara and then the drop. But before that, they were looking all right. Points in 5 consecutive games. So for the Niagara Ice Dogs, they're showing improvement. It was just a tough trip there to Sudbury and then back to North Bay. They do have a 3-3 this weekend, so it's not going to get any easier. They're home Thursday against the Sudbury Wolves before taking on the Brantford Bulldogs on the road and then home to the Sioux Greyhounds. So they went 0-2 last week, and this upcoming week, it's going to be tough. But if there's a team capable of stealing points, it's the Niagara Ice Dogs. Number 19, down one spot, it's the Brantford Bulldogs. The Bulldogs, they forced overtime in their first 2 games against Guelph and London before losing 6-2 last night to the Oshawa Generals. In the game against the Guelph Storm, they were up 4-0 before the Storm came back to win that one in a shootout. So some very close games to start the week, but then Sunday, they had a great start in the game. They were out shooting the Generals. They're up 1-0, and then Oshawa just came in back and took control of that one. So tough little section of the schedule here for the Brantford Bulldogs, but a bright spot, Patrick Thomas. He's riding an 8-game point streak, and he had 3 points last week, including a goal in Oshawa. So Patrick Thomas getting the job done. Now the Bulldogs, they do have a 3-3 this weekend, starting with the Niagara Ice Dogs and then the Sudbury Wolves at home before traveling to the Peterborough Petes. And that's actually the first game between the Bulldogs and the Petes since the brawl. So with that game, there was 3 suspensions in total, 1 handed out to Peterborough, 2 to the Brantford Bulldogs. So you have to figure these 2 teams are probably looking to be on their best behavior, but still, as a fan, you got to be intrigued about what we could see in this rivalry between Peterborough and Brantford, and that's a 4 o'clock start on Sunday, and I'll actually be at that game, so I'm looking forward to it. Number 18, the Windsor Spitfires, they are up 1 spot. They went 1-2 last week. They started with a home win against the Kitchener Rangers. That was a big upset win, but then they would go on to lose 2 straight in Sault Ste. Marie. Now, for the Windsor Spitfires, comparing to where they were at the start of the season, they are showing signs of progress. They got Alex Christopoulos back in the lineup. He has been a huge factor. He's got points in all 6 games since his return, and he had 4 points last week, including 2 goals in the game against the Kitchener Rangers. So Christopoulos trying to carry this team on his back, and we'll have to wait and see if he can continue that going to this weekend because it's tough. They're going to be starting Thursday at home against the London Knights before a home-and-home series with the Saginaw Spirit. So a tough week ahead for Windsor, but we'll see what Alex Christopoulos and company are capable of. Coming in at number 17, up 3 spots, it's the Kingston Frontenacs. Yes, last week they were number 20 in the OHL Power Rankings, now up to 17. They went 2-0 with wins against the Barrie Colts and the Guelph Storm. The Fronts, they've won 3 of their last 4 games since Troy Mann took over as head coach of the Kingston Frontenacs. Mind you, he did receive a 2-game suspension after his debut in the game against Oshawa. That was because of an altercation at the end of the game. So because of that situation, Mann had to miss the next 2 games, but he was back behind the bench for the game against the Guelph Storm. So for Kingston, things looking positive right now. Jakub Kromiak, he was acquired from the Sudbury Wolves, and he seems to be a nice fit so far. 1 assist, and that was in the game against the Barrie Colts. But then he put up 4 shots in the game against the Guelph Storm. So for Kromiak, getting adjusted to his new line mates and the systems in Kingston. And I think for Kromiak, I think Kingston's going to be a good fit for him. And the Frontenacs are a team that I think will turn it around and could make some noise in the East Division. The Frontenacs, they're in Barrie Thursday night, so those 2 being reacquainted. And then they're hosting Sarnia Friday, and then they head off to Oshawa to face the Generals on Sunday. So 3 games upcoming for them. Number 16 is the Saginaw Spirit. They're up 1 spot. They snapped their 4-game losing streak with a comeback victory over the Mississauga Steelheads. That was a 6-5 final. The Spirit 1-1 last week. The offense, it seems to be heating up. 11 goals in the 2 games. So they got 2 from Michael Misa and then 2 from Valentine Jugend. So for the Saginaw Spirit, a team that's going to be hosting the Memorial Cup, a lot of questions about this start. right now sitting outside of the playoff picture. Yes, it's only November, but still, when you see this, you don't expect a start like this from a Memorial Cup host. I did a video last week comparing Saginaw to past OHL Mem Cup hosts, so you might want to go check that out because they're kind of on a similar path to one team in particular. So for Saginaw coming up, it's a very busy week. Tomorrow morning, it's a school day game in Sarnia against the Sting, and then they host Flint on Wednesday, and then a home and home with Windsor. So 4 games in total between now and the next OHL Power Ranking. So the Saginaw Spirit, they didn't play a lot of games to start the season, but now they're going to start packing it in. So we'll see what they're capable of here. Coming in number 15, it's the Owen Sound Attack. They fell 3 positions. They went 1-2. They had an impressive 6-4 win in Sarnia where Denny Gore, he put up 5 points, but then they had losses to the Flint Firebirds and the London Knights, so a bit of a tough way to end the week. Carter George continues to be outstanding between the pipes for the Owen Sound Attack. He's now 5th in goals against average in the OHL at 2.65 and 5th in save percentage at 915. So Carter George continues to get things done. I think he's going to be a big factor for Owen Sound as they try to turn things around. They host the Kitchener Rangers Wednesday night, and they have a winning record so far against Kitchener. They have a 2-1 record against their Midwest Division rivals, but then they're going to play in London and then host the Mississauga Steelheads to wrap up the weekend. So we'll see what Owen Sound is capable of going into this week. Number 14, the Erie Otters, up just 1 position. I wanted to bump them up further because the Erie Otters, they went 3-0 on their road trip with dominant wins. They making the big leap in the power rankings. I think that's going to be coming soon. They got wins against the Flint Firebirds, Saginaw Spirit, and Sarnia Sting. Ben Goudreau, he played in all 3 games. The veteran goaltender being counted upon, even getting that big win against his former team, the Sting. He made 25 saves in that victory. So for the Erie Otters, they are looking really good right now. Martin Mishiak also had a big week, 6 points, including a hat trick against the Saginaw Spirit. So I'm really liking what the Erie Otters are doing right now. They do only have 2 games this week, so a little quieter for them. It's going to be a big test, though, at home Friday night against the Sudbury Wolves before hosting the Flint Firebirds on Saturday. And the Flint Firebirds, they're no pushover either, so it's going to be a big weekend for them. Number 13, speaking of Flint, they're up 1 spot. They're holding on to that 13 spot. The Firebirds, they went 2-0-1 last week, including a big 5-1 win over the Steelheads, who were first place in the OHL at the time of that victory. Gavin Hayes, he had a huge week, 4 goals, 1 assist. He's riding an 11-game point streak. Gavin Hayes getting the job done in Flint. Simon Slavacek also scoring 2 goals in his first 2 goals of the season. That was in last week's game against the Owen Sound Attack, and now he's also riding a 4-game point streak. So the Flint Firebirds under Flash getting the job done. That poor start to the season kind of way back in the rearview mirror now as the Firebirds, one of the more consistent teams in the Western Conference. They're on the road for 3 games this week, stops in Saginaw, Guelph, and Erie. So we'll see what the Firebirds are capable of and if they can continue to climb the power rankings. At number 12, down 4 positions, it's the Barrie Colts. It's been a tough stretch right now. They lost both games on the road trip in Kingston and Ottawa, and that included an 8-3 loss yesterday against the 67s. Ben West, he did not make the trip due to an illness, so Sam Hillebrandt did what he could to keep the Colts in it. Yesterday, he gave up 4 goals on 19 shots, so just the wheels fell off for the Barrie Colts. They're lacking finish. The power play continues to struggle. Connor Punnett also 4th in penalty minutes in the Ontario Hockey League with 30. That's only 3 minutes less than Thomas Stewart from the Oshawa Generals, who leads in that category. So the Barrie Colts hurting right now, and they're going into a 3-3 this weekend, starting with Kingston Thursday night before traveling to Mississauga and then hosting North Bay on Saturday. So the schedule does not get any easier for the Barrie Colts as they try and stop the bleeding. And right now, just 2 wins in their last, I believe, 6 games or 7 games or so. So things, it's a tough moment right now for the Barrie Colts, and I'm sure for Marty Williamson and the coaching staff, getting down to the basics and trying to get this team to dig themselves out of this hole. As right now they're sitting 8th in the Eastern Conference. Coming in at number 11, another team that had a hard week, it's the Guelph Storm. They're down 4 spots. They went 1-2. Their one win was in overtime against the Brantford Bulldogs, which saw them down 4-0 halfway through the game and then battled back to earn that win in a shootout. Chatluchenko, he was a bright spot for Guelph over the weekend. 5 points in 3 games, and he's also riding a 6-game point streak. So Chatluchenko getting things done right now for the Guelph Storm, who are right now in a bit of a slide. They only have 2 games this weekend. They're home to the Flint Firebirds before heading to Budweiser Gardens to face the London Knights. So we'll see what Guelph is capable of this weekend and see if they can turn their ship around. Number 10, it's the Oshawa Generals. They are up 3 positions. They went 2-1, and boy, oh boy, did the offense ever wake up for Oshawa. They're one of the lowest scoring teams in the Ontario Hockey League. Beckett Seneca, he scored a hat trick in the 3-2 win at home in overtime against the Peterborough Petes, and they made that big trade over the weekend, picking up Connor Lockhart, and he had a 4-point night in his Generals debut after being acquired from the Petes. So Connor Lockhart, I think, is going to be a huge addition for this Oshawa Generals team. Yes, now it adds questions about who's going to be the odd man out when it comes to the overager situation, because you're only allowed to play 3, and right now they do have 4. They're also starting to get a little healthier. Luke Torrance, he's back in the lineup, 3 goals in 3 games, so it's good to see him back. Plus, we're waiting to see when will Callum Ritchie return. It was expected it'll be early November, so maybe this weekend we'll see the return of Callum Ritchie, but nothing official as of yet. However, they did lose the services of Ethan Toms in the game against the Peterborough Petes Friday night after he took a skate to the face. It was a scary scene in Oshawa. He was taken to hospital, but he's now home with family in Norwood. And according to the team, he is doing well. And especially with what just happened over in England with Adam Johnson passing away following that skate incident, people are just wanting to make sure Tom's is going to be okay. With hockey, it is a dangerous sport, and when you've got blades and people falling and hitting, accidents are bound to happen when it comes to skate blades. You just want to make sure that the players are safe. And for Ethan Toms, he is said to be doing well. We'll just have to wait and see how long it'll be until he returns to the Oshawa lineup. The Generals, they do have a 3-3 this weekend, starting at home and home with the Ottawa 67s before hosting the Kingston Frontenacs on Sunday. Number 9, the Ottawa 67s. They're up 2 spots this week. They made good with their 2 home games. They took out the Guelph Storm and the Barrie Colts, outscoring their opponents 12-4. So Ottawa looked like they were in cruise control over the weekend. So no wonder they're in the top half of the OHL Power Rankings. Colin McKenzie, he is having a solid season between the pipes for Ottawa. 4th in both goals against and save percentage. And then you add Luca Pinelli getting the hat trick in the game against the Barrie Colts, his first career OHL hat trick. So congrats to Pinelli on that. And Ottawa, they do play a 3-3 this weekend. As I mentioned, they're going to play a home and home with Oshawa before hosting Sarnia on Sunday. Coming in at number 8, London Knights. They're up 1 spot. The Knights went 2-1 and they're 3-3. All their games were pretty close, including the game against Brantford where Max McHugh scored the overtime winner. The Knights and Rangers rivalry has taken another step. It's always fun when you see London and Kitchener go head-to-head. The game on Sunday, it was just back and forth. There's so much talent on both sides. Easton Cowan, he felt like he was all over the ice in that game. He did get 2 points despite the loss, but the London Knights, a really good team in the Western Conference, and just fell short against the Kitchener Rangers to wrap up the weekend. They do have another 3-3 this weekend, so it's a busy schedule for the London Knights to start the month of November. They're going to be on the road visiting the Windsor Spitfires before hosting the Owen Sound Attack and the Guelph Storm. Coming in at number 7, the Sarnia Sting. They fell 1 position, and I think the Sarnia Sting, they look like they're slipping a little bit. They had a hot start to the season. They went 0-2 with losses to the Owen Sound Attack and the Erie Otters. Easton Wainwright came back from injury. He put up 2 goals and 2 assists in those 2 games. So Wainwright excited to be back in the lineup after that injury in the preseason, but they just couldn't get the W's. It is a busy week ahead for Sarnia. They're going to be hosting Saginaw tomorrow morning. That's the school day game. And then they go through the East Division with stops in Peterborough, Kingston, and Ottawa this weekend. So a very big test for the Sarnia Sting. And we'll see if they can stay in the top half of the power rankings or if they slide a little further, because the Sarnia Sting, a fun team to follow, a young team, but it's going to be a tough stretch going into the month of November. Number 6, the Peterborough Petes, up 4 spots. For many, people were figuring this Peterborough team would be fighting for their playoff lives after winning the OHL championship last year, but this team continues to find ways to get points. They earned 3 out of a possible 4 points this weekend in their home against the Oshawa Generals. They did trade Connor Lockhart. I think that's going to hurt them a bit, but they needed to make a move. They had 4 overagers. They needed to get down to 3, and Lockhart, the one casualty heading off to their rivals, the Oshawa Generals. But you still have some great talent on that Peterborough team, including Sam Maillet, who's leading the way. So I wouldn't be too concerned if I'm a Peterborough Petes fan at the moment, although I would not be surprised to see the Petes make a few more moves, generate some draft picks, and look to maybe the future years. But this is still going to be a competitive team. They're hosting Sarnia Thursday night before traveling to Kitchener Friday and then hosting Brantford on Sunday. And I'll actually be at that game in Peterborough. The radio station I work for, they're part of the Faith and Family Night, and I'll be at the Peterborough Memorial Center for that game. Looking forward to seeing the Petes versus the Bulldogs Sunday afternoon. Number 5 in the power rankings, we have the Mississauga Steelheads. They're down 3 spots. The trip to Michigan was not friendly. They went 0-2. They had an early lead against the Saginaw Spirit, but Saginaw just wouldn't go away. Porter Mortone tied for 3rd in goals in the OHL with 12. He had 1 in the game against Saginaw. And we'll just see if they continue to slip in the power rankings. They were number 1 2 weeks ago, and they held on to it for back-to-back weeks. But they've now lost a few games, slipping here a little bit. They only have 2 games this weekend. They're at home against the Barrie Colts before traveling to Owen Sound. So maybe these are games that Mississauga can turn it around, or maybe there's a bit of a correction happening right now in the power rankings. Number 4, the North Bay Battalion. They fell 3 positions. Last week's number 1 team. They had the top spot, and then they lost to the Sudbury Wolves and Kitchener Rangers before winning on Saturday against the Niagara Ice Dogs. Dom DiVincentis still out of the lineup, but Charlie Robertson and Mike McIver looking pretty good so far in relief, despite losing the 2 against Sudbury and Kitchener. The troops, they right now have 2 players in the top 5 in scoring. You've got Anthony Romani. He's 4th with 25 points, and Dalen Wakely, he's 5th with 24. And I think with the offense, and once you get Dom DiVincentis back and that great blue line, this North Bay team, I think, will turn it around. Don't expect them to fall too far in the power rankings over the next few weeks. I think this is a North Bay team. As long as they keep these pieces together, they'll be competitive in that Central Division. They do have 2 games this week. Thursday, they're going to take on the Sioux Greyhounds, and then Saturday, they're going to be at the Sadlon Arena to visit the Barrie Colts. Number 3, the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. They are up 2 spots. They only had 2 games over the weekend, both of them wins against the Windsor Spitfires. And it was an emotional night Saturday. It was Joe Thornton retirement night, and they look great in those throwback jerseys. They're wearing the cartoon Greyhound from the 90s. And when I saw the highlights and the photos, I was figuring, why doesn't the OHL have a game where Sault Ste. Marie and Kitchener go head-to-head and they wear their 90s throwbacks? Sault Ste. Marie, they can wear the cartoon hound, and then Kitchener can wear their Tex jerseys that they had as the heritage jerseys last year. I think that would look amazing for all us 90s OHL fans, just the throwback between the Greyhounds and the Rangers. But I don't know if that'll happen. I have my doubts, but you can dream, can't you? Especially if you're a big Jersey fan. Bryson McConnell-Barker, he had a good weekend, a goal and 2 assists. So this could be a sign that McConnell-Barker might be starting to heat up a bit. And if he picks up the points for Sault Ste. Marie, it's just another threat with that offense as Sault Ste. Marie continues to lead that West Division. The Greyhounds, they're on the road for 3 this weekend, starting with North Bay. Then they go to Niagara and wrap it up with a huge game against the Kitchener Rangers on Sunday. And right now, Kitchener, Sault Ste. Marie, at the time of this video, tied for first place in the West Division. So first place could be on the line for the Western Conference at the odd on Sunday. Speaking of the Kitchener Rangers, they're our number 2 team on the power ranking, up 2 spots. The week started a little rocky for them. They lost 4-3 on the road against the Windsor Spitfires, the 4 wins at home against North Bay, and then on the road against the London Knights yesterday. Carson Rakoff, he continues to have an impressive season. He's number 1 in points in the OHL with 30, and also number 1 in goals with 17. So Carson Rakoff, he has been unreal. He's got points in 7 games. So Carson Rakoff leading the charge there in Kitchener. The Rangers, they travel to Owen Sound Wednesday before hosting Peterborough on Friday. And then that big game Sunday against the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. That one there, Rangers and Greyhounds, that might be the must-watch game of the week if you're a junior hockey fan. And then our top team on the OHL Power Rankings for this week, up 2 positions, It's the Sudbury Wolves. The Wolves, they look legit right now. They went 2-0 last week, including a 5-4 win in overtime against the North Bay Battalion. Quentin Musty was the overtime hero in that hockey game. He added another goal in the game against Niagara on Friday. So Quentin Musty and company getting the job done. And I know the offense is pretty strong with this group, but they're also getting some awesome goaltending from Jakob Vondrits. And then you also throw in David Goyette, who's a great setup man this year, fifth in assists with 15. So the Sudbury Wolves, they look like the real deal right now. We'll see if they can continue that and hold on to top spot next week on the power rankings. But they do have a bit of a tough schedule ahead. They have a 3-3, and all three games are on the road. They're going to be in Niagara, Erie, and then Brantford. And with the way they've been playing, I could see Sudbury ending up going 3-0 over the weekend. That's just a hunch I have, but we'll have to wait and see how the games play out. But in the meantime, that's the power rankings. The Sudbury Wolves taking over the top spot in the OHL Power Rankings, but the Kitchener Rangers and Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds not far behind. And then who knows? Maybe we'll see the Erie Otters and Flint Firebirds take another big step in the OHL Power Rankings. But it's an exciting time of year. We're now in the second month of the season. Teams are starting to jockey for positioning, and who knows, we could be seeing some good races towards the OHL trade deadline. So let me know in the comments down below your thoughts on the OHL Power Rankings for this week. Which team surprised you? Which teams are you have some questions about? And who do you think will be the top team next week when it comes to the Ontario Hockey League? So let me know those comments down below. Remember to hit like and subscribe. Thank you for all your support so far. Much appreciated as we continue to go through the 2023-24 OHL regular season. Have yourself a great day.